There was a time that I figured I best give up on my dreams. All my life I wanted to write. I dreamed of being a writer. I used to have a fantasy of, well, this was when I was an adult and I was older. I had a fantasy of the agent calling me and saying, "Lynn, are you sitting down?" And then the agent would tell me about the big paycheck I was about to get. It was an immature dream, I admit it. But it sustained me all through my working life, and I started early. I kind of thought I wouldn't ever be able to do it. I started working when I was about 12 years old, babysitting. I felt like I needed the security of a paycheck. I know, even at that age. And eventually I got into office work. Well, first I did years of stores. I was the best cashier in the world. When my friends were partying on the weekends in high school, I would be at W.T. Grant or TG&Y or House of Fabrics working. But I finally got an office job. I went to work as a filing clerk for the welfare department. But that was delightful. I climbed the ladder of success and I went to school at night. And it took me 18 years to get my bachelor's degree because, life. But eventually I was able to retire. And at the end of my career, I was I was a personnel director for a public school district. That felt pretty good. I was proud of what I did. But that was like 30 years later. And all that time I wanted to write, but I couldn't. I mean, I would keep the dream alive. And this is what I'm telling you. Keep the dream alive. Do whatever you can do to keep the dream alive. That's important. So I would go to, writing conferences on the weekends, or I would take extension classes at UC Riverside. At that time, there was no internet, so you couldn't take classes remotely. But I did what I could do. One of the things I did was I subscribed to Writer's Digest magazine. I'm telling you, that saved me. I continued to write as much as I could. In fact, I joke that I had 100 pages of first chapters, that I had to throw away. I didn't really know what I wanted to write. I don't know what drove me, honestly, but that was my dream. I wanted to live the life of the writer. And during that time that I was building my career and, working as a civil servant, I would get depressed sometimes thinking it was never going to happen. Does that feel familiar to you? I mean, you're thinking, here I am slaving away every day, going to work. And then people come along with unhelpful suggestions like, well, just get up an hour earlier. I was already getting up an hour earlier. I lived an hour away, so I had to commute. And you spend, 8+ hours at the job, and then you drive home. Oh, and then, work in the gym and having a family and everything in the meantime. What you don't know is I keep turning off my phone and, stopping the recording because there's a whole bunch of fire trucks and stuff that are going by. I don't think my neighborhood's on fire, but it's like I keep seeing flashing red lights going by. But what I wanted to say is, don't give up the dream. Stay with it. I had to wait until I was like in my early 50s to finally be able to pursue this. Something good happened in my life and I was able to work part-time instead of full-time. There was a silver lining in having to wait so long. Well, actually, there were two silver linings. One was that I got older and I knew what I wanted to write about. So that was really good. I wanted to write about older people. But one of the things I ran into, I swear I can't tell you how many times I was told, oh, your writing's decent, but you need to make your characters younger. Nobody wants to read about older people. I didn't believe them. It was depressing, but what alternative did I have? Well, guess what? One of the silver linings of having to wait so darn long to pursue my dream was that they invented this thing called the internet, and I was able to self-publish. I would say that my message here today is not to give up. Please don't give up your dream, okay? My dream consisted of a publishing house, and I would have a steady paycheck, and they would support me, and I'd go to book signings, and I'd fly from city to city, and I'd greet my adoring crowds, and it would all just be glorious and wonderful. That was my dream. Well, it didn't quite turn out that way, but it turned out pretty darn good. At this point right now, I'm working on my 15th book. I am living my dream, and I want that for you. So I'm 72. It's never too late. So if you're a younger person, don't give up hope. Your dream can come true if you keep the flame alive. And if you're an older person, get cracking. You can still do it. Get busy. Anyway, this was intended as a message of hope and support, and I hope it's done that for you. If you liked what I had to say, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd like to know I'm not the only one thinking like this. You might want to hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you're not missing any of my videos. I publish every Thursday without fail. All right, this is Later in Life with Lynn. I hope all of your dreams come true. Thanks for watching.